How many times do we find ourselves being nicer and kinder to strangers or non-family members than we are to those closest to us? At times, for example, we might pay glowing compliments to a coworker or a casual acquaintance, yet we rarely compliment our own spouse. Or we're quick to lose our temper with our parents or siblings, sometimes over the silliest things, yet at the same time be so sweet and gentle to a friend. Or we're out the door in a flash to help a buddy with a favor, yet we drag our feet irritably when our loved one asks us to run a quick errand to the grocery store. We've all heard of an old saying that familiarity breeds contempt. It's an expression that basically means the better we know people, or the more familiar we become with them, the more likely we are to find fault with them or find them irritating. They get on our nerves. And perhaps it was that type of contempt that Jesus may have felt when he entered into his hometown of Nazareth. Perhaps it was that type of contempt that led the crowd gathered to hear him in the synagogue to question his teachings. Mark even quotes the townsfolk saying things like, "How can he help us? Isn't this the carpenter's kid? Where did this man get these things?" You can literally hear the contempt in their voices. They took offense at their homeboy, Jesus, despite their awareness of his wisdom and the mighty deeds wrought by his hands. They were scandalized by him. Swelled with a sin of pride, they lacked faith in who Jesus was. Thus, were spiritually blinded to the truth. So this gospel very much speaks of what is happening today. Some of the most vehemently anti-Christians are those who grew up in the church but have since left the church for one reason or another. So many in the world today know of Jesus or are familiar with Jesus, but choose to ignore him and his message. We've grown a culture of canceling others because they fail to meet our expectations, or because we are more preoccupied with the messenger than with the truth of the message. Let this gospel serve as a warning to us all that it is entirely possible to be like the people of Nazareth, familiar with Jesus, all right, but have become unimpressed by him, to where our taste for the goodness of God is lost. It's lost in some Catholics, sadly, who come to Mass expecting to be entertained or to be impressed, as if Jesus is here to put on a show for our pleasure. We become lazy in worship because some of us find Mass to be tedious or boring, and it gets in the way of our social activities. We show contempt for Jesus when we reshape him into our own image rather than allow him to conform us to his image. And we certainly show contempt for the Lord when we seek to fill needs in our lives with something other than him. So how then can we fight this problem of familiarity breeding contempt? Well, we can start by having the right attitude. Whether at home or in church, we should leave our pride or bitterness and arrogance out the door. When we're negative or always unhappy, perhaps due to our insecurity, we're more apt to disrespect others and condescendingly dwell on the faults of others. Secondly, we need to cultivate a culture of appreciation. We've got to be intentional at giving thanks for things that people, especially those close to us, have done for us, no matter how small that thing is. Keep the spirit of gratitude burning all the time. Say thank you. You have no idea what difference those two simple words can make. Thirdly, adopt a forgiving personality. Never hold on to grudges because physically and spiritually, it's just not healthy. It's just not. Unforgiveness only brings bondage and scornful feelings. But when we forgive, we receive Christ's peace. A true and strong Christian forgives. Lastly, and perhaps the most powerful weapon against familiarity breeding contempt, is the virtue of empathy. Empathy is our ability to recognize and share the emotions of another person. And who better to show us empathy than Jesus himself, who had to take on our human nature so that he could obey the law for us, suffer and intercede for us, and have a fellow feeling of our infirmities. My friends, life is too beautiful and too short to breed contempt. God calls us instead to create an openness to experience joy, his joy in our relationships, especially with those close to us. Nurture curiosity by finding novelty in the familiar without resorting to judgment or opinions or assumptions. And most of all, never, ever lose our capacity for wonder. That's the awesome feeling of being amazed by something so beautiful and yet so unfamiliar. On this 4th of July weekend, as we enjoy the company of friends and family over barbecue and fireworks, may we stop fighting over why the burgers and brats were overdone. And let's just see the world through the eyes of a child. It is the purest joy we can ever experience in this life.
Hello, OLPH. My name is Mary Lynn Januszewski, and I'm the Director of Finance and Operations at Our Lady of Perpetual Help Parish in Glenview, Illinois. And this message comes to you with heartfelt gratitude and thanks for your ongoing generosity and support of OLPH Parish. This overwhelming generosity allows us to continue to serve and to minister to the parish community in so many different ways. So thank you, OLPH, for all you do. You are much appreciated.